I can't let nothing get in my way. I know you hear me when I pray. I know that I'm not perfect, yeah, I make mistakes. I need you to be there for me every step of the way, yeah, cause there's a blessing with my name on it. Hey, you know that I need it, Lord. Show me how to get it, Lord. I'm barely eating, Lord. Trying to feed my people, Lord, yeah, cause there's a blessing with my name on it. Ooh, hey, you know I receive it, yeah, I believe it, yeah, yeah. This year will be my year. I claim, hey, yeah, I claim. Oh, 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 yeah, yeah. This year will be my year. I claim it, yeah, I claim it. This year will be my year. I've been putting work in, yeah, tryna make my dreams come true. I know I get impatient, my family and my babies, they waiting on me to come through. Pressure on every level, issues, I got several, trying not to settle, I wanna be successful. I can't be a failure, but it get kinda hard trying to keep it all together. There's a blessing with my name on it. You know that I need it, Lord, show me how to get it, Lord. I'm barely eating, Lord, trying to feed my people, Lord. There's a blessing with my name on it. Hey, you know I receive it, yeah, I believe it, yeah, yeah. This year will be my year.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and happy Monday, baby. Yes, it's a Monday. We are excited to be here. I don't know about y'all, but the weekend went by so fast, and honey, them storms were coming through. So listen, it was a perfect time to be in the house to either catch up, lay up, or whatever it is you wanted to do. But it was a good weekend, so I hope you all enjoyed it. We are here on the Empowered Morning Show. So if you have not been following us, please do so. But I'm going to flip it over to my girl, P. Angela. But before I do that, let me just let y'all know the topic for today, actually for this whole week, we are talking about the effects of COVID and whether it was negative or positive, because it was both. You know, we can look at it on one extreme to the next. So we're going to get into it this week, but today we're going to talk about it from a financial perspective. But before we do that, I'm going to kick it over to my girl, Coach P. Angela Jones, baby.
Thank you, Angela, and good morning to everyone. Listen, I need to know what's in your cup today. So I'm sipping on this dark roast because, listen, it's Monday, right? But I'm also got my fatigues on. If y'all see, I got my little fatigues on because we're talking about COVID. And COVID was a battle for me. But baby, I won my battle. I don't know about you. I won my battle. I won my COVID battle. And the way that I was able to win my COVID battle was by grace and mercy following me all the days of my life. It was grace and mercy. I should have been dead. I should not be here. But grace and mercy was following me and said, P, it ain't time yet. So today I'm sipping on grace and mercy following me. And that's why we're going to like the broadcast. Every morning when you come on in here, I need you to actually like it. It's so easy to start watching something good and not go through the steps to really share the broadcast. When you actually like it or heart it, you are building the algorithm. You are making it known to others that, listen, something is on and it's good. And if mercy and grace followed you all the days of your life, I need you to share this broadcast. This is only for people who feel like mercy and grace have been following them all the days of their life. If that's you, share this, because someone who grace and mercy has been following needs to hear this. They need to know that they're not alone. They need to know, you know what? I may have woke up on the wrong side of the bed, but the Empowered Morning Show is here to help me feel a little bit better. But now, get ready for this daily dose of hope with Terry.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Y'all, it's an amazing Monday. It's going to be a miraculous Monday. It is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. And y'all, today is the day that the Lord has made, and we are rejoicing and we're glad in it. It's your girl, Terry White Hicks, and it is now time for our daily dose of hope. And I got to tell y'all, somebody in the comments just said that they are sipping on their future. And that is what we're talking about today. If you have been a part of season 3 of the Empowerment Morning Show, you know that during the Daily Dose of Hope, we have been talking about our new seasons. We have been talking about embracing a new season. We have been talking about entering into a new season. We have been talking about understanding and accepting our season, whether we like it or not, because every moment of our lives is a season. And so our future is a season. And the Lord says in Isaiah 43:19, behold, I do a new thing. Do you not perceive it? We are to perceive, understand, comprehend, realize that God is doing a new thing. But the part that I love is the end of that scripture where he says that he will make rivers or streams in the desert. That to me, y'all, says that he's going to do some miracles. He's going to make a way out of no way. He's going to produce things that you did not think were possible. He's going to create ways that you did not think were possible. And that's why we can be sipping on our future. That's why we can have the joy of the Lord. That's why we can be confident knowing that he who started the work in us is going to be faithful to complete it. Why? Because he is the God of miracles. And that's why today is a miraculous Monday, because we serve a God who can make rivers in the desert. We serve a God who can make streams in the desert. So it doesn't matter what your season looks like right now. It may not look like what you think it's supposed to look like. It may not look like what you think your future is supposed to look like. It may not appear what you are supposed to be just yet. But guess what? You serve the God who makes ways in the desert. He makes streams in the desert. He makes rivers in the desert. That means he is producing miracles in your life. So whatever your season looks like right now, whatever your situation looks like right now, be encouraged, because in a moment, somebody say in a moment, we serve the God who can change that, who can breathe life into your situation. This has been your daily dose of hope. And now I want you to get ready for my girl Sparkle, who's bringing Morning Mirror Talk.
Good morning. It is self time. As we are guarding our heart, we are guarding our moves. So as we make our moves, we're not telling everyone. We're not sharing it yet. It is not time to share your moves. You are making these moves and you are coming up with these strategies. You're writing some visions, but you are guarding it. The moves are essential. They're necessary. They are adamant. You have to make these moves, but everyone's not ready to receive the moves that God has for you. You cannot let everyone in because they can't handle what God is doing for you. They can't hold it because they're in belief. They cannot believe that God is doing this to this magnitude. He cannot believe that God has blessed you the way he has blessed you. They can't believe that you're in a head swimming blessing. But the more they sit back, they're going to get the reveal, and God is going to reveal it at the right time. So make the moves and make them silent and make them strong and make them a secret, because God is ready to open the windows of heaven and they have your name on it. This has been your Mirror Talk with Sparkle. Have a blessed day.
Okay, back at it. Listen again. Magnificent Monday, Motivation Monday, Money Making Monday. This is Monday, but we want to talk today about the effects of COVID. And when we talked about bringing this topic up for the week, it's a lot of strong emotions attached to COVID. It's a lot of people who can even still break out in tears thinking about what that time period brought about. And so we're going to cover a lot of different aspects of it, but today we're going to talk about the financial piece of it. I don't know about y'all, but you saw so much happen from, and I'm gonna go back because I pulled up a list. I want to kind of be very thorough with it this morning, but it says the COVID-19 pandemic had far-reaching financial effects on individuals, businesses, governments, and economies worldwide. While the specific impacts varied across different regions and sectors, some common financial effects of the pandemic includes, and the top one they listed was business disruptions and closures. Y'all know for a lot of people, your business started furloughing you because people can come to support your business. Now, you saw an increase, of course, with it being a disease, people at the hospital, so frontline workers, essential workers, you saw more people coming through and they were needing more people to come. But for some businesses, they experienced closures because you just couldn't go. And so you think of a mom and pop store who relied on, people coming in, they had to close down. Or you think about businesses that, were unable to keep up with what was going on. They had to furlough a lot of people. So we saw that disruption in business, but there was a lot of unemployment and income loss. But on the same flip side of that, as much as it was for people who were receiving those unemployment checks, it was an influx of income that they hadn't seen before. It was a difference. So as much as it could have been bad for one person, maybe it was good financially for others because you saw opportunities to take that check and maybe you invested it in something. For some people, they started new businesses. I'm going to go on. They talked about the stock market volatility. We just saw so much go on with that, where the stock indices experienced sharp declines followed by periods of recovery. So it's like COVID came and ripped through, but for some people, it actually became an upgrade for them. You think about a lot of people were able to not have to pay their mortgage or their rent. A lot of people were able to start businesses. Some people, the trucking industry started booming. So a lot of people were able to transition into that. It's a lot of things that you can look at. Government stimulus and support. A lot of people were getting the stimulus checks, the PPP loans. A lot of people took advantage of opportunities from the influx of cash that you weren't accustomed to getting. Also, there was a supply chain disruptions. That's a huge one, I think, that sometimes we don't think about because we weren't able to get products like we were used to. They were stranded out in the middle of the ocean, or they were, people couldn't get it over here from other countries because we weren't able to import things like we used to because there were lack of workers to be able to go out and package the product or make the product to get it here. So that disruption cost a lot of dollars to be lost and it impacted people financially. Another one was, of course, real estate market changes. Y'all know when you look at it, the increase in rent for some people was astronomical. But at the same time, if you still look at it from the results of COVID, you see all around, there's construction everywhere. They are building up more properties, townhomes, apartment buildings, single family homes. But at the same time, a lot of that is so expensive. What used to be $150,000 is now $300,000 or $400,000. It is an extreme disparity between where we were before COVID and where we are now. You look at people who used to maybe pay $1,200 for rent, who are now paying well over $2,000. It's a big change, and financially for a lot of people, they just can't afford it. So when you think about that, not only real estate, and I think tourism and travel was impacted. You think about it, people weren't going on cruises. The hotels, people weren't going. We started, Piangela remembers, we started the I'm a Woman Empowered. We did a gala and everything. And during the COVID times, we were able to get an excellent rate because people weren't coming out like that. So the rate they would have charged pre-COVID, it was greatly reduced because people were trying to get business to their establishments. So that worked out in our favor. But on the other end of that, there was a rise in online shopping and e-commerce. People who decided, because it was a great migration from the job force, people were leaving jobs left and right to start their own businesses, and a lot of it was online. So that was really super important for a lot of people because they were able to make money on e-commerce. Because you think about it, people were going online more. They were shopping online, so Amazon, I'm sure, got an uptick because Regina put the trucking industry is still in danger. Yellow Freight shut their doors last week. People lost their pension. Wow. And we still are feeling the impact. So ladies, hop in at any time, because this is really a huge topic. Like you see, it's a lot of areas that were impacted, a lot more negative for some than others, but definitely a big impact financially.
Okay, well, there's this term that was coined during the pandemic that I found out from a friend, and it really connected with me. It's called a 9-to-5preneur. So I am a 9-to-5preneur. I work in the field, I work in corporate America, but I also own a business. And for people who were in that space, it was very difficult. Some of us were furloughed, and some of us were what you called what was that term they came up with? Necessary workers?
Essential workers.
Essential workers. So I was managing a restaurant during the pandemic, and my restaurant was considered essential because we were providing food. And for whatever reason, the Publix and the Kroger and all of the grocery stores near my house were running out of food, like you saw, like the shortages. But my restaurant, baby, we was getting cases and cases of chicken and fish.
Wow.
I mean, we were just getting cases. And when people in my community found out, my owner said, Piangela, I need you to work as often as possible. So during the pandemic, I was working 6 and 7 day work weeks every single day, open to close, managing this storefront restaurant, because in our neighborhood we were the only thing open. So yes, there was an economic boom, but I was exhausted. Meanwhile, my husband and the kids are sitting on the couch watching movies because Daryl was furloughed and the kids didn't have school. And it was an economic boost, but it was also emotionally draining for me, because I was considered out there in the front line. I wasn't a nurse or a doctor, but what I realized that people who are hurting are looking for hope anywhere. And so I may have been selling food and managing a restaurant, but I was also praying for a lot of people and helping people get through the times of not having enough. So it definitely affected me, but it also affected my business, because honey, them PPP loans hit real good for my businesses. And I was able to, I'm still living, like right now today, I'm still living off of the benefits of a PPP loan. So I was able to see kind of both sides of that in that aspect.
That's good. I mean, I even see Tina said some people even lost their mind. And you think about it, your finances can take you to a breaking point. When you start thinking, I don't have money to take care of my kids, I don't know where we're going to get food from. You start thinking, you go to the grocery store, and at that time, tissue was, it was a shortage. People were running around here crazy about buying tissue, paper towels. I mean, it was just so much that put a lot of stress on people. And you think, your kids, for a lot of, and y'all know, you think single moms or even families, period. But when you are used to your kids going to school and they're getting a good meal at school, and now they're at home all day, every day, that's a big challenge for some people to be able to keep groceries in the house. And you think about, even the elderly, I know at the time, my father-in-law, he used to love to go to eat Cracker Barrels, every morning. And so you think, when that's your lifeblood, when that's where you go out to just kind of meet people, because you live by yourself, you go out and meet people. That's where you see them and you build relationships, and you don't have that. That for a lot of people, was a source to drive them crazy. But Terry, I know you had a different experience based on your business.
I did. And, part of it, I know on Friday, we're going to talk about mental health. So I want to talk about part of it on Friday. But you just made a good point about your father-in-law, and how that's how he would get out and be in the community, living by himself. So for me, before I get into the business part, I want to talk about that, because that was an important part that I think a lot of people miss. So for somebody like me, I'm very, I am an extreme extrovert. So I have to be around people, and, that's just kind of where I pull my energy from. A lot of people like to be in quiet spaces, and that's how they feel energized and rejuvenated. I feel energized and rejuvenated by being around other people. So when COVID happened and I was by myself, well, Lucy and me, and even Lucy was so confused because she's used to me not being here during the day. And then all of a sudden I was here all day, and she's like, what is happening right now? So she was running around crazy. I was going crazy because I'm used to being out and about. And, for some time, everything was shut down and there was no out and about. And I remember during that time, like, we actually had, I don't know about where you all were, but we actually had the Hummers and things coming through, what do you call it, the National Guard coming through, making sure that people were not out and where they weren't supposed to be. So you really could not leave the house, like you need to go back home type thing. And so I was stuck at home, and it was really crazy. But in addition to that, to get to the business part, I did, because most of you, if you don't know, I own and operate a Christ Center Performing Arts homeschool program that at that time operated as a private school. It's an accredited homeschool program. And so people think homeschool, they think, oh, you're already used to it because it's homeschool, so you do things at home. But we were not set up like a homeschool. We were set up like a private school. The kids came to school every day. They wore uniforms. We went on field trips. We were in a building. We had classes. We had teachers. And so when everything changed, a lot of the parents, they didn't understand the change. And for them, when we had to transition from being in the building to going virtual, that was a lot of change that had to take place. And it was overwhelming. I mean, just like in public schools, they went from being at home to, being at school to being in a virtual learning environment. And it was a learning curve for everybody. But for me, I think we caught it a lot from a lot of parents who didn't understand, because they kept saying, well, you're already in homeschool. You should already be set up for this. But we were not set up to be teaching from home. I had never taught from home. I had never taught over Zoom. I had never taught virtually. And then you have the kids who, they were not showing up to class because I'm at home now. So I'm used to waking up early and going to class. Now I'm at home. So we're sitting on here waiting for you to show up for class, and you're in the bed asleep because you're at home. And so home means home, and school means school. And so it was such a humongous learning curve for everybody. So it was a lot of challenges that, quite frankly, I never really did recover from, because there was so many changes that happened so quickly. And a lot of people didn't understand it. A lot of the parents didn't understand. The children did not understand. We had children coming to class virtually in their pajamas, eating their cereal, just had checked out mentally, because they was like, I'm not at school, I'm at home, the TV's right here, I'm gonna watch the TV and not you. And I can only do so much. I can say turn off the TV, but hey, you right there in your room, I can't turn it off by osmosis or telepathy or whatever. So they were doing what they wanted to do, and it was crazy. Those first few months when we were away from school, it took a lot to get the students into a new routine of virtual learning. They just were not ready for it.
Wow. And I can see how that can be, such a hard thing for somebody. For one, your routine is disrupted, but for you, when things start changing like that, that impacts your money. When you start getting people who, especially when you are accustomed to working from that aspect, and you don't have people who are enrolling in school, because now, I don't know, maybe, for whatever reason, that's not what we choose to do. Or maybe I can't afford the tuition this time.
That's
maybe
exactly what happened. You had a lot of parents who, and it was kind of two things that happened at one time that all of it affected my income. But the one of the things that happened was parents, because the public schools opened up virtual learning opportunities too. So parents started to think, well, hey, if you're going to be virtual and the public school is virtual, I'm not going to pay you to do virtual, and they're doing the same thing. So I'm going to go over here, not realizing that it still wasn't quite the same thing, because we were still doing one-on-one learning. We were still doing what we did in a physical space, but virtually. But to them, it was, oh, everybody's online, so I'm gonna go over here to where it's free online. And then, so that happened. So a lot, like literally half of my students at one time came out, over half. It was probably about 60% of my students I lost, because the parents were like, well, if you're gonna be virtual, they're gonna be virtual. I'm gonna go over here to the free virtual. And then you had other parents who couldn't afford it because their jobs were affected. So that their hours were cut. Some lost their jobs. Some, their jobs, they put them on furlough, things like that. So they no longer have the ability to afford the tuition because they were impacted by COVID. So all of those indirect impacts impacted me directly. It impacted my students. It impacted my staff, because now we, instead of having 100% coming in, now we have like 30% coming in. And so I'm having to make sure everybody gets theirs before I get mine. And then they have to go other places to work. And then it was just getting lower and lower. And we literally saw it just trickle down to almost nothing.
But Regina, I know you, because you have a business. As a matter of fact, you own a barbershop. So just think, if people can't come in, how did that impact you financially?
Well, to be honest with you, yeah, it did affect. I'm not going to say it didn't affect my finances, because not a lot of people weren't able to come in. But the main concern was when everybody was telling everybody they had to be 6 feet apart. I was never 6 feet apart. I was right up on them. So I had to make sure that my health was intact, my immune system was intact, and able to create a space when they came in that they didn't catch anything in my barbershop. So the approaches that I had taken to make sure that everything was sanitized, that everything was up to par, as far as, making sure everybody is healthy and still able to come and get a haircut and not get sick. During that time, it was very challenging because my business partner at the time, which is my stepfather, got murdered during that time. So I didn't have, I was going through that, extensive, that was very difficult, but still having to have the mentality that I still have to run a business during that time. And COVID hit at that particular time. And now, making sure that I have staff to come in to help me. And thankfully, the Most High God sent my son, because he was a truck driver. He was out on the roads, trying to bring this stuff in that, we were waiting for. And it was getting very dangerous out there, and really doggy dog world. So I was thankful to have him in. But you know what? It was a time for me to really activate my faith. I'm not even going to lie, because I had a lot of people coming at me talking about, you need to get a PP loan and all this other stuff. And I said, I will not. I will not. One, because I believed in the Most High God, that he was my source and my resource. And this was the time for, for me to see the move of God, because I really seen it deeper of what was going on with COVID-19. I really seen the bigger picture of. So I knew I had to withstand what I believed in. And doing so, I flourished. I was able to stay open. I didn't get sick. And even during that time, I was able to purchase my house that I am in today during COVID, in the heart of COVID. That means that I was able to sell my house and get a low interest rate to afford a house that I am in today, that I spend less money than the house that I was in, that's smaller. I had a higher interest rate. So, it paid off. And I was able to see that, once I put my trust into the Most High God and he was able to move, I was able to be an example of what could happen in a time like this. Now, mind you, I've always been a saver. So it kind of aggravated me, somebody to tell me that I have to show my business. I shut it down. I have a problem with somebody telling me what I have to do when it comes to my business. So my mentality says, you're telling me I have to shut down. That means if I don't work, I don't get paid. Some people get paid, like me and Terry. You don't get paid if you don't work at all. There ain't nothing coming in. So you have no choice but to rely on God. But I'm thankful that I had a savings to where I could live off of it until they told me to come back. But let me tell you what, when that month said you can come back, literally that month, that next day, I was already opening up the doors. I was already cutting. I was like, I am not staying shut down any longer, because, but I'm thankful. I'm flourishing. The business is doing good. I pray for a lot of people who, have been set back because of it, because I've seen it. I've seen people die. It's been devastating. It really, really has. So we must be, just because it went well for some, we cannot have empathy for the ones that didn't. We just can't. We have to. One thing that I always would tell people when they come in, you got to give everybody some grace, because everybody handles these things differently. Some people I had people in there shaking. Literally shaking and hyperventilating just to sit in my chair. Can you cut my hair in less than 3 minutes? Literally. And listen, I will give you a 3-minute cut because that's what you want. But some people go like, it's not. No, just because you don't feel that way doesn't mean the other person doesn't feel that way. And what I did see is people who suffered from depression and anxiety. Now you add that on top of that. That went to like 10 times higher. So that COVID literally activated their depression, anxiety, be out of this. And then I seen it, witnessing when you have young kids shaking in your chair and people can't even barely breathe, but they know they need to come in and they wanted to feel better, and making sure that we showed a little grace that everybody handles this differently.
So true, Regina. That's a good point. And when you start thinking about a lot of people from a financial aspect, when you were getting unemployment that was probably 3 or 4 times more than what you've ever gotten before. You know, some people were really getting good money from unemployment. To go from that to say, okay, a job, why would I get a job? If I'm making $1,200 a week, why would I go get a job and I may only be making $500? It was something to really kind of think about. You think also about a person who's renting. Maybe, you know, they passed something where you were able to get relief because you didn't have income coming in like before. But for the homeowners, maybe they were looking like, okay, but I'm depending on that money myself to take care of my thing. So it was really a duality between the two, where you have to really look at, like Regina said, I'm not looking for a PP loan, but for some other people, PP loans is what helped you to get your business. I know even for me, I didn't do a PP loan, but I started a business. I started, you know, really publishing books. Like they said, the online thing was popping, and was able to successfully, you know, I started the I'm a Woman Empowered group. People were looking for connectivity. They were looking for opportunities to, you know, if y'all remember then, Zoom was on fire, but it was so many people who were coming on hacking Zoom. We would have meetings and there would be some people coming in and they were popping like popcorn. They were just coming on there talking crazy, saying, you know, different things, trying to disrupt what you had going on. So it was just a opportunity. Again, when it comes to finances, and I see different people on here, some say it was a very trying time. Others say, you know, they had a completely different experience. Regina said that some got a lot of money that the government said they overpaid and snatched that amount of their money back from their bank accounts. That's another thing. There were some people who, yes, leaving the accounts with zero balances. A lot of people were getting the money, but at the same time, because they falsified information, baby, they were taking that money back. So you just think, if you got money and you spent it and they took money from you, that puts you in a devastating financial places. And to be honest, some people were even looking at jail time for falsifying documentation. So this COVID thing, I'm telling y'all, we're already out of time. I'm telling you, but at the same time, still tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're talking about Testimony Tuesday, and we're going to have somebody who's going to come on and talk about their experience and give their testimony. This week is going to be powerful because, y'all, COVID is just that deep, and we still are experiencing lingering effects, even with it coming back and rising up, where people are still getting COVID. So let's just go ahead and pray, but hopefully all hearts and minds are clear. After we get off here, tune in to Rev Pat. She will be next. But Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the blessings you've given us. For those who are still here today, God, we thank you for the opportunity that you have seen us through COVID. God, for whatever issues people may be experiencing with their finances, we ask that you intercede and step in, Father God, and let them put their trust in you and not man, that you will be able to see them through whatever they're going through. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. Amen. All right. All right. Y'all have an amazing Monday. Tune in to Rev Pat and then come back and see us in the morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll talk to you then.
I claim it. This year will be my year. This year will be my year. I claim it. I really believe it in my heart. This year will be my year. I claim it. Yeah. I claim it. 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 Yeah. I claim it. 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 I claim it, yeah.